Because man subject to the cross can't take themselves off, can't kill anybody. So he humbled himself, even to the death of the cross. And I find it strange that we testify that we are fashioned like Jesus, and you can't stop to look at yourself. It said, because I find myself fashioned like Jesus, I can't answer you the way I want to answer. I can't backbite you because I'm fashioned like Jesus. Praise the Lord. I want the church to understand that when we're in the church, we have all sorts. The net go out and it bring in just about everybody. Don't curse me because I don't see the church and didn't clean it, while there's others that hurry and just clean it. You can't be who you're not. You know, Jesus said, I choose 12, and one of you is a devil. But he never treat them differently. He invite everybody to Lord's Supper, give them drink, and he know everybody. But you're a part of the 12. You might be lazy, but you're part of the church. In the sports world, they have bench players, and they have the regulars. Mm-hmm. Some folks are just bench players. You push them, and you talk, and they can't do nothing. They just do what they're capable to do. Two of you will walk in the washroom, and papers on the ground. One used it and walked out, and he didn't even pay attention. But you now have to tidy up before you go out, because that's who you are. I oftentimes go in my washroom at work and in church, and I ask myself the question, I wonder what did they use? And when I go in there, every stall is empty. No paper towel, no toilet paper. And they walk out. But me going there now, I got to call the custodian and say, hey, there's no paper. While the other man just gone. It's not in here. And so sometimes we spend a lot of time quarreling with issues that doesn't help the church. And some issues stop us from doing that what we should be doing. We get caught up in events that we shouldn't even get caught up in. That's how I said, Jesus, come on, man. You're telling us what these tears is doing. Let's go pull them up. No. Leave them alone. Until the day. What you got to understand here is that the tears and the wheat are planted out in the field. And there come wind and rain. And sometimes if it's not for the tears, the wheat would be washed away. And the wind would blow it down. But sometimes when the wind comes in, the tears is your bucketed. Hold your root in the ground. But if you pull out your tears, you get in trouble. Praise the Lord. I just want to ask, is there some folks in here today that you love the Lord, but you're not yet saved? Is there anybody in here that's not yet saved? Just raise your hand. Don't feel embarrassed. Okay, well, maybe. But I find that there's some folk that are not saved. They curse the devil more than how church people curse the devil. Yeah. They curse the devil And they know the devil is no good. But the devil don't like you to curse him. And I asked myself a question then. If you're cursing the devil and you're not serving God, and it happened that you end up where the devil end up, my God, what is going to do to you? If you end up in hell with them, sister or brother, what a day. You know what he says to some folks? You come curse me. And I say, after me not know you. He said, Jesus, I know. And Paul, I know. But who, you have the audacity to come and try to curse us. They jump on them and say, give them some beating and tear the clothes off of them and chase them down the road. You can imagine you're cursing devil. You don't have no back at it. And it's worse for them who once knew God and testify against the devil and walk away. What's going to happen when he back you up in hell? And he's going to remind you, you know, remember how you used to cuss me?
Yes, sir.
Calls me the Bigfoot devil. And called me serpent. And now you're in my corner. Lord Jesus. These are some of the things that kept me, you know. Because I said too much. And I cursed him too much. So I just want to stay under the blood.
Yes. Glory to God.
Greet Bishop and Apostle and wife and all the saints and friends. Greet my Aunt Rilla one more time. Glad to see you, man. Praise the Lord. And glad to see my friend at the back, Adrian. And just glad to see everybody. I want us to come to a conclusion and a conscious conclusion that the church is threatened. And we have to start shore up our borders and make sure there is no loophole for the enemy to penetrate.
My God. Yeah, Jesus.
There are enemies from everywhere.
Everywhere. Hallelujah.
I was saying that the American government, whenever they hear of threat, they call soldiers and shore up the borders. North Korea have a tendency to show off their weapons and defile the treaty and sending missiles, seeing the distance where they could go. And we don't understand that we have to start show off the power of God.
Amen.
One of the greatest expression of the power of God is to look somebody in the eyes and I say, no, you talk about me, but I love you.
Mighty God. Hey, Jesus.
I want to love you even though you don't love me.
Hallelujah.
Because it's not in me not to love. Jesus says, or the word says that if you hate your brother,
Mighty God.
you are a murderer.
Oh, God, help us, Lord.
And he said, if you can't love whom you see, how can you love God whom you don't see? What God is really saying is that I'm invisible. and you can't see me. So it's kind of hard for you to really love me. Because love is something that comes from what you see or from what you smell. God have no shape, nor form, nor smell. So he said, now, in order for me to know if you love me, I'm going to let your brother mash your toe.
Oh, God.
And then it depends on how you treat him. Then I will know if you really love me. I'm going to let them hurt you in some manner.
My God.
And the way how you react and behave, I will know if you love me.
My God.
Because I can't judge my love from me. Because you can't see me. But I want to judge it from around the people that is around you. Amen. That you got to deal with day and night.
My God.
And if you can love them, then you really love me.
Yes, sir. Yes. Love one another.
I love when people chastise me.
Mighty God.
Because it gives me a gauge of how much I love God.
Yes. Hallelujah.
See, it's not so much what the person say,
My God.
but it's the way you react to what the person say.
Hallelujah.
That's right. Reaction.
And if I can get you angry
My God.
You got me.
and let you lose your testimony,
Come on, that's what the devil wants.
it suggests then that I controlled you.
Come on. Hallelujah.
You are my puppet
Yes. My God.
on a string.
Yeah, God.
I can pull you up and I can pull you down and I can shake you around. To share.
My God, what's a word?
But when God love is in me,
Come on.
oh Lord Jesus,
Hallelujah.
I just got to love you. I tell folks that a lot of things we pray about, we waste time. Why would you pray to God? Help Sister Joan, Lord. I pray, God, that she would love me and she would do this, Lord. No, he already tell you what to do. Yes, sir. He said, if Sister Jane don't love you or care about you, he said, I want you now to love her. Pray for her. You can't afford to buy a steak. Elder Steele, lend me $50, let me go buy a steak and make a dinner for Sister Jane. Oh Lord Jesus. And that's what the love of God will do to you. And when we shore up our borders with love, no devil can come in. I tell folks that we need to start to rebuke people over the phone. Don't bring me garbage because I'm resigned from garbage duty long time ago. Don't dump your junk in me, for I'm not a garbage bin. I am a praying bin. I'm a loving bin. Thank God. Penetrate. Anyway, I want to talk about was today. Was is a word that bring back past. And it bring history with it. And sometimes it kind of a tracker to one life. And so John was called by the Pharisees, and they were talking to him, wanting to know about who he was and who this Jesus that he speaks about. And John said, well, let me try to bring you back to where he comes from and who he is. And he used the word was very often in the book of St. John, the first chapter. And Colossians said that all things were made by him and for him. John 15 said the Father is the root, and Jesus said he's the vine, and we all the branches. He said without him there was nothing made. Amen. But I find that a lot of us have not got the reality yet that Jesus is God. And we're still confused. Because some of us still believe that our grandma in the Methodist church is still going to heaven. And those that are of the persuasion of that there is three God, we still embrace that. But yet still you testify that you found the real church. But then John tried to bring their mind and our mind into the existence of the one God and who he really is. So he starts out and he says, in the beginning was the Word. When he said was, then it seemed then he's telling me that he didn't just stay there. He's saying he moves. I could stand here and I could move over there, and you could say Elder was at the podium. But from the minute you put in was, it means that I'm no longer here. I move over there. When John tried to trace him, he ran into the Word. And I was wondering, why did he says in the beginning was the Word? You see, he caught God when he was stepping out of eternity. Because God was in eternity all by himself. But in order for there to be a beginning, he would have to get out of eternity. And he couldn't get out of eternity unless he speak himself out of eternity. And if he speak himself out of eternity, then there got to be a place for him to step into. And so John run into the Word, creating beginning. So God speaks beginning. So now his Word is in him and nothing happened. But from the fact that he speaks, the Word creates something. Okay. I stand over here and I want to call Bishop, but I don't say nothing. So this is me stand with my word. And I say nothing. But I want Bishop to come over here. If I don't speak, he won't move. So I said, Bishop, come to me. Get up, Bishop. What happened? It happened so fast that I said, Bishop, come to me. And my word left me. And get into Bishop. And it moved like this. And all of a sudden his brain calculate and register to his feet and to his hands and his body. And he can't do nothing but obey my words. My word had formed
Oh,
something in him that he cannot resist me. Brother Messiah. And he said, I said my word and it shall not return unto me void. Bishop was sitting over there and I speak my word and it go to him and grab him up and return Bishop to me. Brother Messiah. Hallelujah. So when God wants to step out of eternity, he speaks the word. And there was a beginning. But John said, in the beginning was the word. And then he was looking around for God. And all of a sudden he recognized that the word was with God. Because God cannot be separate from himself. You see, when I call Bishop, you see my mouth move.
Yes.
But because I have a body, you see me. So you know I'm over there.
Yes.
But if there was no body, you would only hear a voice. Hold on, Messiah. And so God wants men to know that he is God and he's not a ghost or a Messiah. And because I can't see God and I can't appear before God because he's fire, he would just kill me if I see him. For no man has seen God at any time except the only begotten of the Father, Jesus Christ. So what was the word look like back then? The word had no shape, no form. If I said to you, hallelujah, can you see it?
No.
Can you touch it? Can you hold it?
Mighty God of that.
It is invisible. Hold on, Messiah. The only way, when I say praise the Lord, the only way you understand what I'm saying is that your body reacts to what I just said. Hold on, Messiah. So when God speak out of himself and say beginning, the word just go and create beginning. And John saw the word and he was looking for God at the same time. But then he said, hold on a minute, the word is with God. And the word was God. So he said he's moving from one position to another. Oh, praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Oh, glory be to God. Then after he take a good look at the word, he said in the verse 2, he said the same was in the beginning with God. Oh, Mama Shai. Oh, praise the Lord. Hallelujah. And as he noticed and he started to see that here is God wrapped up in the word. And every time God speaks, and then John said, I recognize and I see that all things were made by him.
Yes.
And without him was nothing made that was made. Hallelujah. Every creative things that was there, it was made by the word of God. Messiah. He just speaks it into being. Oh, church of God, don't you understand that you have the ability to speak things into Messiah? For you are a possessor of the word. The word is subject to you at your command. You just got to speak it. Messiah. Thank you, Lord.
thank you, Jesus.
Oh God.
And John keeps saying was. The Messiah.
Oh God.
He's standing in the presence And so he's drawing their mind back to where he comes from and who he is. Then John said, in him was life. And the light was the light of men. In him the word was life, oh God. And in him there was light, which is the light of men. And he speaks then that there is life and there is light. He's suggesting that there is a moving creature and a moving being, and he's saying that then in him was darkness, but he comes now as the light. For if there's no darkness, you don't need no light. The Messiah, he said, I am the only light.
My God, my God.
Hallelujah.
My Lord of mercy.
My God.
Amen.
Mighty God.
Praise God.
Praise Him. Praise Him.
He is the light
Yes, He is.
of man.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
But then I like verse 5. Now he declared that the word is the life and the light of men.
Praise Him.
Oh, glory be to God.
Hallelujah.
And the light, holy Masanda, shineth in the darkness. And the darkness comprehended not.
Hallelujah.
Oh, God from glory.
God.
The darkness was so dark and was so confident that he had whole men captive. Like many of you sit here today, you were in a darkness. Oh, glory be to God. And the devil thought he had you for life. Oh, Lord.
My God.
But the light shineth into the darkness. That hold you captive. That hold you bound. That mess up your marriage. Mess up your thinking. Darkness cover you. Hallelujah. Jesus have mercy. Husband quarrel, need my wife to change. Wife quarrel, need my husband to change. Children disobey parents. The world was covered in darkness. Hallelujah. But here comes the light of God. It shineth into the darkness, and it moves so fast that the darkness didn't comprehend it. Oh, Lord of mercy. Went to church as a junker. In 2 hours, I come out as a saint. The devil couldn't understand how come I lose you. Hallelujah. For years I'm trying to change, but the darkness hold me captive. For years I tried to please God and to do good, but when the light came and shined in the darkness felt it, but it couldn't see it. Because when he speaks then that he comprehend not, he couldn't rationalize what happened. You don't even know today how you are saved.
Oh Lord, my God, my God.
You can't even explain it real good how your heart have been changed.
My God.
How can a simple water baptism change me so quickly?
So quickly.
I got invited to church. I swear and I curse. Hateful in my heart.
My God.
And just 2 hours into a service, got baptized in Jesus' name. Came out of the water. And I'm trying to remember Bible and I can't remember. The light shined into my dark world. And did a transformation that no man can ever understand.
My God.
He said that he will do a quick work in righteousness. But then, we try to understand it, but we can't figure it out.
My God. Hey.
Because it seems too simple. Now, you go to the pool and they hold you, and in 2 minutes or maybe 10 seconds they dip you. But you don't understand. In our time, it's 2 minutes. But in God's time, it's about 5 hours.
Oh, God.
When you dip there, he hook you up. And the blood transfusion.
Hallelujah.
And the brain aneurysm. And hook you and suck out everything ungodly out of you.
Thank you, Jesus.
And he rip your skin off and take the old man all together and bury it. Jesus have mercy. And take you into a place and wash you and make you clean and put on a new gown upon you. And when you get up out of that water, all things are passed away, and behold, all things become new. What a word! I said the word got into my spirit. Confuse the darkness. For in the darkness there was no light. But he have an emergency clinic set up in the midst of darkness. And when you dip in the water, he transfer you into the emergency room and wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doing. All things passed away. All things become new. My mind come new. My desire come new. My lifestyle changed. And I didn't know how it happened. The light shining.
Mighty God.
Holy
Hey!
Messiah. The light baptize you.
Yes, sir.
I said the light baptize you and bury your oldness. So I find it strange then that this is the operation that happened to you. Then how comes he baptized me wearing pants and earring and all fandangles? And I passed through the operation and he stripped off everything
God Almighty.
and make me brand new. And I come back with the same desire. It is telling me then that in the middle of your mind, you got to that door, and when you saw what was going to happen to you, you turned back. Before you come out the water, you stop the operation. For Jesus says that you harden your heart and you stiffen your neck so that you might not be converted. Because if you convert it, it's going to change your lifestyle. So I said then that there are people that their body are baptized, but their mind was never baptized. And if a mind is not baptized, you could preach to them till you drop dead. They will never be changed.
Mighty God.
Now, you got to understand then the relationship between the mind and the body. When I speak to Bishop, I didn't speak to his body.
No. No.
You see,
No.
there's something about hearing. If you don't hear something, it's very hard for you to take action.
That's true. That's true.
Hearing has something to do with the humanity. That hearing bring about some kind of reaction. Yes, and bring communication. So when you hear something, it somehow bring a transmitting into your spirit.
Yes.
And so when you hear it now, it takes it in and push it somewhere, which we call the brain.
Yes.
And then the brain now react to the cells of the body. And if I said move your hand,
Yes, sir.
when your ears hear it,
Oh,
it's sending to the department of understanding
Yes.
and knowledge.
Yes.
And the knowledge and understanding says speak to the vessel and the muscle that go to the hand.
Yes.
And before you know, the hand just rise up because I said move your hand. Oh, glory be to God. So if the mind is not baptized, then the body will not accept that which is of spirituality. Oh, praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Oh, glory be to God. Because you see, the mind is of a spirit. And God is a spirit. So the flesh itself cannot hear God. It's the spirit that hear God. So when the spirit is baptized, it is now changed, Holy Messiah. And because the spirit is changed, its communication to the body is also changed. Oh, glory be to God. So the spirit would say, you can't wear pants no more. Hallelujah. And it send message to your whole body. Say, I cannot wear pants no more. And I can't dress in certain manner no more. Because the spirit is baptized. Because of the spirit, it is called the brain, that give instruction to the body what to do. Oh, glory be to God. So if the only flesh is baptized, the only direction it will give is according to the flesh. I say hallelujah. There is no more, therefore, no condemnation to them that walk in Christ Jesus. We walk not out of the flesh, but out of the spirit. When the spirit controls the body, it is subject to God. You don't have to ask me to praise God, because my spirit knows how to praise God. And my spirit gonna tell my hand, you got to clap, you got to shout, you got to dance and praise God.
Jesus, mighty God.
Let somebody watch spirit
Yes, sir.
control your emotion. Oh, the light shineth into darkness, and the darkness comprehended not. Oh God, from glory. Hallelujah.
My God.
I said hallelujah. And I said then, that was the true light. Who the Messiah,
True light.
which lighted every man
Every man.
that cometh into